What's up fam, this is Names with Names Repairs. In today's video, I'm going to tell you the reason why buying used vehicles, lorries or trucks or cars for export from Europe to Africa will no longer be a viable business in the next 2 years, 1 year or 6 months down the line. There are a number of reasons as to why I'm saying this. I made this video to warn you so that you should not make a bad financial decision, because I've been there and I've done that. I've exported cars as well from here, from Ireland. So with that said, I'm not trying to be a hypocrite or discourage you in some sort of way, because you'll be like, hey Names, you did this before, so why should we not do it? Well, I'm making this video to let you know why you shouldn't do it, because I've been there, I've done that, and I've experienced the whole situation. So this video will not help you to navigate through this business successfully, but this video will help you and also help others who are intended to start doing this export business. So without wasting time, let's dive right into it. Number one, we have to be honest with each other. There is no cheap truck or lorry here in Ireland or in the UK. All of these things in very good condition and roadworthy here in Europe starts from around 20 grand, 25 going upwards. That's a second-hand quality used truck. These vehicles that are being bought from Europe and being shipped out to Africa are European rejects. These vehicles cannot pass for NCT and cannot pass for the emissions, and they're not roadworthy here in Europe. People in Africa are now waking up to realize that all these rejects that are coming from Europe to Africa and being sold for higher prices are not worth buying, because they break down 3 or 4 months down the line after being bought. Sometimes these vehicles don't even make it to the final destination. Once they're off the ship, they break down in the middle of the road, and these repairs in the middle of the road could cost you a lot more money. These things are becoming endless money pits, with the fact that they don't even last when they get there, because the guy who sold it here used it until its final days and then decided to make a few quid out of it by selling it for a cheaper price to a guy who's interested in exporting these lorries. So these cars, lorries and trucks, they are endless money pits, and Africans have woken up to the fact that these European exported vehicles are not worth buying, because they get damaged easily and they get broken because they were rejects from here, from Europe. They are not worth the value for the money. The only person that's going to benefit from this is the original seller, because he has used the vehicle for a long time. It has made him as much money as he or she wanted to make, and then in the end they decide to make a last few quid by letting it go to the Africans. But generally, these cars are not acceptable. They are European rejects. They cannot be driven in the roads here in Europe. They cannot pass for the DOE or for the NCT to certify them for roadworthiness here in Europe. So this has woken up a lot of Africans to realize that, hold on a minute, these vehicles we're buying, we're just wasting money buying them, and then they come here, they drive for 6 months, 4 months down the line. Sometimes they broke before they even reach there. They've been used here for the best part of their lives, and now the last remaining life is being sent to Africa, where another person is going to pay a huge sum of money for them, only to find out that the vehicle is going to break down. So Africans have turned their backs to all these European exports. Think of that factor, that people have realized that these exports are not worth it here in Europe, and they cannot be worth it there in Africa. That's number one. And number two is a humanitarian factor. These cars, lorries and trucks are an environmental hazard. They are big pollutants. They failed for emissions here in Ireland or in the UK, and then somebody decides to ship it to Africa, hurting lives of innocent people. So European governments have woken up to that fact that Africa is now becoming a huge contributor to global pollution because of these rejected vehicles that are being shipped out of Europe to Africa. They cannot even pass for CO2 emissions, and they're environmental hazards. So before you start jumping into the bandwagon and saying, okay, I'll put up a car for sale for 300 euro, because if you go on Facebook or Done Deal, you see these ads, people putting up a rust bucket, a wreckage that can't even be driven here, saying that this will be suitable for export, which is really bad, because that thing is not even roadworthy here. It would never be roadworthy elsewhere in the world. Why are you sending it to Africa? There it's going to do a lot of damage. Somebody's going to pay so much money, and then to find out that it's broken, or it could cause an accident, and also that it's a pollutant. It's affecting a lot of innocent lives. People are inhaling these fumes that these cars are releasing out in the air. So European governments are now setting up laws to regulate these vehicles that are being shipped out of Europe without any tough restrictions. restrictions. They cannot pass for CO2 emissions here, and you guys are ending up shipping them there to Africa where they're polluting the environment, and this is just not viable. It's a humanitarian factor. Think about this before you start jumping onto the bandwagon of exporting this, exporting that. That is a reject. It's not supposed to go to Africa. A lot of rust buckets are being sent to Africa, and they're hurting a lot of people's lives. So number 2 is this humanitarian factor that you need to start considering. And number 3 is that the Chinese and the Japanese have taken over the African market. The Chinese and the Japanese are providing them with more suitable and reliable cars, and also affordable compared to the prices they buy these European rejects. So these European rejects are no longer viable in Africa. Africans are no longer interested in them. So these are the 3 main reasons that you need to start considering before you jump on the bandwagon of exporting this and exporting that. Number 1 is that Africans have woken up that these European rejects are not a viable option because they don't last longer, they break down, and they end up becoming endless money pits. And number 2 is that it's a humanitarian factor. These European rejects are environmental hazards. They are pollutants, polluting the environment. And number 3 is that the Chinese have taken over the market. So think about these factors before you jump on the bandwagon. It might sound harsh, but that's the reality and the brutal truth about this export business. With that said, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment down in the comment section below. And lastly, I would like to thank Brian, because Brian told me about the audio in my previous video that it wasn't the best, so I needed to improve on the audio. Thank you, Brian. Me personally, coming from an audio background, I should have been able to have quality audio in my videos. So today I've put more effort into getting a better quality audio. So if this audio sounds better, Brian, please let me know. Your opinion matters. Otherwise, I can't continue without feedback. The more you give me feedback, friends, family, and everybody else who was recently subscribed to the channel, the more I'll get courage to create more content. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Peace, and I'm out.